We are live.
Wonderful. Hi, everyone. My name is Olivier Capin, Senior Manager at the Canadian Institute for Energy Training. Thanks so much for joining all of us today. Along with our partners at Efficiency Canada, London Hydro, and the London Environmental Network, we're really delighted that you could join us here for the virtual event. Maybe one day it'll be in person, but for now, still virtual, although we're happy to see how well Ontario happens to be coming back to normal. It's great to see. This is actually the second Green Jobs Fair event. So hopefully if you did attend the first, we actually have 4 new speakers to present to you, but you'll know a bit more about the flow than others. If this is your first chance attending, what we're going to do here today is you're going to hear from a number of speakers who will cover why you should join the energy efficiency sector, what's going on, what's exciting. We're going to highlight some of the opportunities and resources locally here in Southern Ontario. And then we're going to hear about the experiences from our panelists, our 4 panelists today. They're going to tell you a bit more about what's exciting on the municipal side, on the software side, on the residential side, the property management sector, and so on within energy efficiency. And then finally, we'll also provide time for you to network, not one-on-one, but within little small groups. We'll provide you with 2 networking sessions so that you can ask any questions and just follow up on anything that you might want to ask the panelists based on what you hear from them in their introductions. Before we hear from Corey Diamond, I just wanted to, or rather we just want to acknowledge the history of the traditional territory and honor the longstanding relationships of the 3 First Nations groups that occupied the land in southwestern Ontario. The Atenadaron peoples once settled this region alongside the Algonquin and Haudenosaunee peoples and used this land as their traditional hunting grounds. The 3 long-standing Indigenous groups that populated this area were known as the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the Lenni Lenape peoples. So we wanted to acknowledge them, especially in light of the goings-on recently with regards to the residential schools. Now, firstly, I'd like to introduce Corey Diamond, who is the Executive Director of Efficiency Canada. Corey has more than 2 decades of experience leading social change organizations focused on engaging people and taking action on critical environmental and social issues. He's a great advocate for Efficiency Canada, for energy efficiency in Canada, and I specifically wanted him to share some words so that he can inspire us and explain a bit why you might want to join the energy efficiency sector and why now is a good time. Corey.
Great, thank you so much for that introduction and welcome everybody. I'm going to be super quick, and I've been told that I should just act as the hype man. So I'm the guy who just basically warms up the crowd for the main event. But I wanted to give you 3 reasons why your choice or you're thinking of entering the energy efficiency sector is a good one. The first is what I'm calling momentum. And Olivier mentioned it in the introduction, but I've been doing this work since I was 17 years old. I'm not that old right now, I don't feel it at least, but I've never seen the amount of momentum I've seen on climate change issues, on energy efficiency issues from a policy perspective. So governments are clearly stepping up around the world and really focusing efforts and investment in this space, which means there is massive opportunities for multiple different kinds of jobs. So the momentum has never been this great, and it's only getting better. So it's a high growth sector with lots of excitement and momentum. The second reason why I think entering the energy efficiency workforce is a good idea is the passion and purpose that it comes with. I've heard so many stories of people who are sitting at kitchen tables with families that they've helped reduce their energy bills by up to 50%. And these people are crying and they're so grateful and so thankful. And the purpose that you have in doing this work every day cannot be rivaled in any other sector. It's just fascinating. And then the third reason is energy efficiency really is the front lines of the climate change fight. There's over 436,000 people doing this work right now in Canada, but we need hundreds of thousands more. And if we're going to win on climate, and we're going to do it in the next decade, it's going to need people like you to be part of it and get to be part of it, knowing at the end of the day that the work you're doing really does impact this climate change crisis that we're all facing. So 3 reasons why even showing up today was a good idea, but even better if you decide that this is your career path, I guarantee you it's the right choice. So back to you, Olivier, and for the rest of you, enjoy the session and look forward to seeing you down the road. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Corey. Now I'd like to bring in Marianne Griffith, who is the Director of Programs at the London Environmental Network. And Marianne's just going to give us a bit more of a sense of the context and opportunities of energy efficiency at the regional level. Marianne?
Thank you, Olivier. Like he mentioned, my name is Marianne Griffith. I'm the Director of Programs for the London Environmental Network. And while our work is centered around London, I feel that it is regionally appropriate that the comments that I'm going to make for whatever area of Southwestern Ontario you might be in. So I'm a certified energy auditor. I'm a member of the Association of Energy Engineers, and I've taken training with some of the folk that like through CIT and some of the other energy professionals that are. I wanted to touch on why it's important for our region to transition to green jobs, and I'm going to use London as an example, but like that should apply to your area as well. Our employment rates have increased last year by over 1%, so 8.2% in 2021. And it's expected that accommodation and food service businesses will also be failing in the coming months, which will increase that rate. Office vacancies expected to increase as COVID has made people reconsider their office, and there's going to be a higher demand for housing in most regions. So the push for green jobs is really about making retrofits available for both existing and incoming buildings as well as vacant office buildings. So we're looking at trades. We're looking at folks that can help push municipal and federal commitment, carbon emission, and those aren't going anywhere. So most of you will be in a place that is declared a climate emergency. The hope is that will be followed up with incentives for folks making a transition to more energy efficient strategies. And there's also a European influence on our manufacturing sector, which are forcing standards upon us that may be looking at circular economies and strategizing in a different way than we have been in the past. So I work specifically in London for the London Environmental Network, and we are a charitable organization. So of course we employ and work with what one would typically think of the green jobs, so tree planters, nature conservatories, etc., cycling activists. But we're seeing our biggest trend in our newest programs, which I've highlighted at the bottom of this slide here, and that's Green Economy London, which is a business sustainability program, and Greener Homes London, which is our upcoming residential sustainability program. And this is where we're seeing an increased demand for energy efficiency jobs. Specifically in the business sustainability program, we're looking for people are now hiring sustainability managers, energy managers, local manufacturers of goods to comply with these new standards, sustainable tourism and local like staycation experiences, and low impact designers, landscapers, and builders. In our residential program, energy advisors are getting hired by most of our service organizations across our region, retrofit contractors, specifically in HVAC for air source heat pumps, as these are now incentivized by the federal government's Greener Homes program, and solar is now recently incentivized as well. So like we saw in the last incentivized provincial and federal uptake, we're going to see the folks in HVAC and solar get pretty busy pretty quick. We've signed on many businesses across London, all of whom have made commitments to lower their emissions. And this is just an example of the popularity and the trend people wanting to do this, and the need for people who are willing and able to look at energy efficiency across small to medium enterprises as well as large businesses. And we've got our residential side where it's more trades based. we know that we're not the only city like this, and we have at least 19 other organizations that are very similar to ours that are running residential and business sustainability programs. We believe that energy efficiency jobs are only going to increase from here. So we just wanted to share that perspective and hope that you have a great time listening to the employers and employees that are going to speak to you now.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Marianne. And now what I'd like to do is introduce our speakers who are going to tell you a bit more about, of course, who they are, what they do, who they work for, and hopefully they'll be able to share a bit about how they got there. So this is going to be kind of a snapshot of that. And if it captures your interest, again, you're going to have a chance to speak to them in a more intimate setting within the breakout room. So they'll each make about a 4-minute presentation, and then we'll proceed to the breakout room. So first, I'd like to introduce James Riley, who's the CEO and founder of LightSpark. James.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Perfect.
Okay, so I believe I have a short 5-slide presentation. So if I'm able to share the screen, I can present that.
Skylar should just open that up for you in just a second. So just keep an eye on the bottom of your screen.
Okay, awesome. Okay, perfect. So, all right. Okay. So what I've put together here is, hopefully PowerPoint doesn't crash on me here. Why I'm in energy efficiency, and I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing. My background is I started my career in 1997 at Microsoft. I've done a bunch of digital strategy and marketing with big brands, but became really interested in sustainability in about 2010. And we became a digital agency of record for BC Hydro, worked with Efficiency Nova Scotia, Efficiency Alberta, and Sask Power. And about 3 years ago, we started a LightSpark. So the desire there was to really see if we could make a living and save the planet at the same time. If you guys have read the book Drive by Daniel Pink, I highly recommend it. He talks about a study that was done by MIT, the World Bank, and the Federal Reserve Trust on what creates innovation in an economy. And he essentially says there's 3 things. One is autonomy, a sense of independence, that you're doing something that you really enjoy, and you have sort of the ability and independence to innovate. The second thing is mastery, that you're getting better and better at something. And the third thing is purpose, that you wake up in the morning and you're doing something meaningful. My previous career, I was the director of marketing for Disney, and we were selling plastic. So you don't wake up in the morning and necessarily think that you're having a big impact, but energy efficiency does that for me and a lot of the people on our team. I think our approach is a very digital data science driven approach, and that gives all of us a kind of unique autonomy towards this. I think especially with cities, the traditional energy efficiency programs have been through utilities, but it's a different angle what cities are trying to do. They're trying to reduce carbon, and they have, I think, different motivations than utilities have. And so it's quote unquote a greenfield. It's totally new. So there is, I think, a massive opportunity for innovation and new creative ideas, which is really exciting. And so for me, on the sort of mastery piece in terms of my career, energy efficiency is really interesting. From a marketing perspective, you're trying to get people to use less of something and to transform and change their behavior. So in a sense, obviously, that brings together my marketing and consumer engagement skills and a lot of people on our team. There's sort of the analog world, and we're seeing big changes in AI and machine learning. And the data science and marketing intelligence brought together is a really new opportunity that we're working with. And I think that's an exciting new field, especially the data science side and the business intelligence side. And the other thing is, in this category we're in, it absolutely requires collaboration, and it takes kind of the competition model and focuses it in a different way. So, transparency, sharing of information, working together towards a common goal is kind of the blue ocean versus the red ocean strategy. So I know we've just got very little time here, so I'll just give you, I'm admitting people into the meeting here as we speak. Sorry,
James, you've got
PowerPoint.
about 1 minute left, just as your time warning.
Yeah, okay. So essentially what we've done is we've built a deep energy retrofit marketplace. So we are mapping carbon and energy intensity in building assets across the country. And I think what's exciting, to build on what Corey was saying earlier, this is a huge market. So $550 billion is the North American home improvement market. $205 billion is the North American government federal funds committed to this. And $65 billion is the renewables market. So it's a massive opportunity. And there's lots of, I think, great skills to build and great companies to work for. And I will close it with that.
Thanks very much, James. And so sorry to cut you short, but of course you'll have more time to chat with James in the breakout room. And I think you left that perfectly anyways, that energy efficiency is so well positioned to be one of the main strategies to combat climate change. And we see that growth through some of the numbers that James just presented. Thanks for that, James. Next, I'd like to go over to Jolene McLaughlin, who is the Senior Project Manager for EllisDon. Jolene, over to you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for inviting me along. Just make sure I actually share my screen. I have a tendency not to do that. So yeah, my name is Jolene McLaughlin, Senior Sustainability Project Manager with EllisDon. Talking a little bit about my career path, kind of what I expected to happen when I got out of school. I'd have a clear direction and know exactly where I was headed. And then quickly learned that that's not really what's going to happen. And I would also say it's still changing as I go, which is, a little bit daunting, but exciting at the same time. So my journey, I started at Financial College. I took architectural technology, spent a few years in retail management, kind of building my people management type of skills. Pretty quickly realized that was not kind of the right place for me, but managed to get in with a sustainably focused engineering firm that was really centered around LEED certifications and new construction and old buildings and all kinds of really exciting stuff. So I got exposed to how to build more sustainably, but also how to manage buildings with an energy efficiency in mind, and worked with a number of property management companies and helped them to develop different projects and different strategies that would reduce their overall impact environmentally and also their bottom line, their costs. I spent some time in the facilities management space myself, trying to really hone in on the energy management kind of piece, but then ended up finding myself here at EllisDon and looking more broadly at sustainability. And I say broadly because the company, most of you probably know us as a builder of very big, very complex buildings across the entire country, but we also manage assets. We have a capital infrastructure team. We have energy management services internally. We're looking at our corporate responsibility. So there's all kinds of different things that I have to look at, and it almost speaks to what's available kind of in the industry. So why I find this really exciting is, everybody's been talking a little bit about the climate change agenda and the climate change problem. It's a really great time to try and figure out how to help solve it. My colleague did some analysis on the most recent Canadian inventory report, and you can see the drawing that's on the left, the full pie. It shows what a building built to current building code standards looks like in terms of carbon impact, and it's quite high. If you look at the building on the right-hand side, it's showing where we actually need to get to in terms of carbon emissions for both operational and upfront emissions, the embodied carbon emissions of assets, in order to hit our 2050 target. So that's a huge disparity, and we have to find a way to get there. So there's a lot of really exciting opportunities. And this is kind of highlighting a little bit of what I get into within my job, but also what property developers, property owners, everybody across the building and commercial value chain is kind of looking for. I got my foot in the door mostly focused around energy management. I don't necessarily touch on that stuff on a day-to-day basis, but I do consider it a pretty good entryway point for myself. So yeah, that's my spiel.
Thank you so much, Jolene, and thanks also for presenting how circuitous the journey in energy efficiency can be. It's the same for me, and I think it's the same for a lot of people. So I think it gives a very realistic portrait. So thank you very much for that. Next, I'd like to bring in Nicola Lashley, who is the project lead at the City of Toronto Environment and Energy Division, and she's also one of the main people in charge for a very innovative program in the municipal sector, which I'm sure she'll tell you about. Nicola, over to you.
Great. Hello. I hope everyone can hear you. My name is Nicola Lashley, and I'm a project lead environment with the City of Toronto. I work for the Environment and Energy Division, and specifically, I work on the Public Energy Initiative's existing buildings unit. And I work on programs that support energy efficiency and net zero pathways for single family homes. So my scope is quite limited in terms of this. And I do engagement programs in that I engage residents, I engage not-for-profits, utilities, other levels of government. I project manage something called Better Homes TO, which is an engagement and training sort of arm for residential sector, as well as the Home Energy Loan Program, which is a unique LIC financing, local improvement charge financing. So we offer Toronto residents or homeowners money to do energy improvements on their homes. And we also work on I also work on policy development, and that's sort of, for me right now, that is home energy labeling and disclosure requirement that we're sort of starting to push through City Council starting next month. And what I care about, because I think that's equally as important, I want to embed equity into programs and policies for the City of Toronto that specifically deal with sort of getting to net zero. I support pathways that don't make Toronto more unaffordable than it is, and I'm trying to ensure that equity-seeking groups, Black, Indigenous, people of color, disabled, women are included and given access to green jobs. And that's sort of the umbrella, when we're changing programs, modern programs, that myself and my teammates were all sort of on board with. And how I got here, like everyone else, I did not start off looking for a career in energy efficiency or a green job. I started out of university fresh, communications in the film and television world, and it was super exciting. And this is where I was going to go. And then Toronto, the film industry kind of died, slowly died after 2003 and didn't really come back till 2013. And I was already done by that point. I then started working in the financial services industry. I worked for a big bank, and then I was poached by a client, and I ended up at a boutique accounting firm that had all of our clients were in the real estate industry, which would come in handy later. And so basically you need to have $1 million or more to be a client. And it opened my eyes up to a lot of what I do today that I had no idea was there, was coming, was happening. And then I got a job with the City of Toronto. And my story getting in there is unique, but when I wound up in the Environment and Energy Division, I had no idea that it even existed. It had just been formed before I arrived. I started out in admin. I was promoted a few months later to an energy consultant working for the Energy Efficiency Office. I was asked to second because of my previous work working in communities as a volunteer coordinator for the Live Green Toronto program. And then I came back to the Environment and Energy Efficiency Office rather, and I started working project lead on the single family homes unit. And I'm a big proponent of people working for the City of Toronto. I think one of the most exciting things about it is how much you get to do, what you get to touch on. And if you are in green jobs or energy efficiency, for Toronto, it could look like, and just about any municipality, working on corporate buildings. You could do engagements with communities, with individuals, with other orders of government. It is also policy development, sort of getting our city towards net zero. And then obviously program and project management. So working on the different programs the City of Toronto has. And I get a lot of requests in terms of, I want to work for your division at Environment and Energy, and green jobs in the City of Toronto are everywhere. It is not just environment and energy. We do very specific things. We can't do our work unless we partner with other divisions. So it could be solid waste, it could be Toronto Water, corporate real estate, Toronto buildings. I think one of the amazing things about you have so many opportunities when you're working for the City of Toronto or any municipality, I should say, because you can move about and still do the work that you're passionate about. So I would love to talk to people more about this and why I think you should work for a municipality, whether it's London, Vancouver, Toronto. There's so many opportunities out there for us that are coming, especially in the next year or so. And that's it for me.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nicola. And thanks also. One of the things you were able to show is how your career has grown along with, at the same time, essentially, as the environment and energy division within the City of Toronto. So that's great to hear as well. Now, lastly, we'll hear from Will Gonell, who is the principal at Gonell Homes. Will, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. And I don't have a PowerPoint, but I will start a timer to make sure that I don't bore you guys. My story is not as fascinating as some of my other presenters, but I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm originally from the States. I'm originally from New York City, and I'm an inner city kid. So in the ghettos, low income. It's very important to say that because it shaped who I currently am. And in order for me to get away from that, initially, upon graduating high school and did a little bit of university at that time, I joined the military. And I did about 8.5 years in the US military, serving overseas as well. And then I eventually followed a path into the New York City Police Department. And you're gonna see one common thread between all of us is that we kind of stumbled upon where we are right now. And that's life. Life is funny like that. So got here into Canada. And then at the time I was working with the inner city kids out of Jane and Finch area, putting them through trade programs. And I said, you know what, I should really look into this for myself. Why am I putting them through a program that I know nothing about? So that began my interest in construction. I was very fortunate that the company that I worked for at the time, they were in the high residential market. So multi-million-dollar homes, and it was small enough that I was able to move around a lot, and primarily were ICF builders. Those of you that do not know what ICFs are, is insulated concrete forms. And because of that, we got into do houses for TV show personalities, and one of them was this international developer. And long story short, my boss at that time got fired. I took over his job. And I was set to oversee this project. This was before LEED became a thing, or was as big of a thing as it currently is. And a lot of the things that we're doing were very energy efficient. And I started learning about these systems, started learning about these applications. And that sparked an interest in me, because then when I started seeing regular homes being built, I was like, something's wrong here. Like, why are we doing this way? So that became a life journey. I traveled all through Europe to visit some of the countries. I've been doing this for many, many years to see how they were doing things. And it's something that I now apply into my day-to-day. So there's an education component that goes into it, in which I've gained a lot of training to offer the best service that I can to my clients, along with a lot of passion that goes into it, because there's not the cost difference to make something efficient versus something's not. A lot of times is not that much more costly, but it's just educating the client. And a lot of it comes with education. A lot of us stumbled upon this industry or this passion. And I try to do that with every person that I meet. I try to spark that interest, because sometimes people are just not interested in the green market, but through education, they all of a sudden become aware, and it's very important. And now more than ever, as you can see, when the restaurants were closed, when a lot of the industries were closed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, one of the things they say to people is that we're essentially in a recession-proof business, because people are either building new or they're renovating. Either way, we're winning. And another aspect to that is the green component. Now that you say, you know, the cities and municipalities, they have now incentives, because when I started, unfortunately, the green building was really for the wealthy. And every one of my clients was trying to outdo themselves. Like, oh, I've got the new Tesla. Oh, I've got solar panels. I got this. But now, thanks to a lot of government incentives, it's become more affordable to a lot of people, which is great. So again, for those of you that are seeking for jobs and things like that, you are in what I like to call recession-proof business, and you're arming yourself by further qualifying yourselves by, you know, joining the green initiatives and having that as an add-on to what you already have. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the breakout sessions. But my name is Will Gonell, and looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Will, and thanks also for directly making the big connection between the construction industry and the energy efficiency sector. As a matter of fact, a lot of construction professionals don't necessarily think of themselves as working in the energy efficiency industry, but they're really a key, whether they're doing construction on new homes, whether it's retrofits and so on. So thank you for that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have 25 minutes for the breakout rooms. What we will do, however, is that Kirsten will prompt you at about 12.5 minutes to switch rooms. And so we have, of course, 4 breakout rooms for our 4 panelists. So, and they're actually named after their first name. So we'll have a breakout room for James, Jolene, Nicola, and Will. And again, so we'll place you, we'll allow you to place yourselves in the room that interests you the most. But we do encourage you again to move around, which will also, of course, permit you to speak to other people, but also to make room for some of the other participants who might want to come into that room as well. And again, Kirsten will prompt you in about 12 minutes or so to switch groups, and then we'll come back into the main group for a door prize that CIET will be handing out and for the closing remarks. So Kirsten, I think we're probably ready for the breakout rooms.
Yeah, so the room should be open. And for the speakers, you'll see a room named after yourself. So just go and join that room. And if anyone needs help, put in the chat and I can assign you to a room as well. And we'll be communicating through the broadcast function. So feel free to move around, switch around whenever you'd like, but we will give a warning halfway through to give you notice to switch rooms. Someone has closed the breakout rooms. So we'll just see what happens there. Skylar, are you still in this main session here?
I am.
I'm not sure what happened there with the closing of the breakout rooms. I'm not sure if that was a co-host by accident or what went on there, but is it possible to override it?
I don't see anything that's letting me.
Okay.
So it might bring everyone back and then we'll have to let people reassign themselves.
While you guys are there, I would love to know how to go to my breakout room. I'm not sure how to do that exactly.
Yeah, I can give instructions in just 1 second. You won't be able to join right now because the rooms are closed. So for everyone who has not joined a room yet, I'm just going to open them up now. So you should see an option at the bottom of your screen. I believe I'm not a guest right now, but you should see breakout rooms at the bottom, which should open them up and you can join a room. But for now, Will, I can assign you to your room.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Awesome.
I don't know what happened, Kirsten. I was in there and then I got booted out. Oh, it's Skylar's fault. I get it.
We're not sure. There was some kind of Zoom issue, which is,
okay.
It's not an event without a Zoom issue. Them's the rules.
That makes sense.
Awesome. So if you are not joining a room, I am just going to assign you to one. So just get ready to get booted in somewhere. But otherwise, you should see, as a guest, I believe you'll see breakout rooms on the bottom of your screen, which you can open up and go and join whichever room you choose. If anyone else is having any technical issues, feel free to unmute. We're just a small group left in this main room now, so let me know.
Yeah, I don't see any selections or choice to go to rooms. John.
No problem. Do you know whose room you want to join, John? Because I can just assign you.
Oh, just assign me to Will's. That would be fine. Or we're able to change rooms too later, I assume?
You should see breakout rooms as an option on the bottom of your screen, and that should give you the option to move around. It's tough because I have the co-host view, so I'm not sure what the guest view is, but if you have any problems, there should be a come back to the main room section, but I'm going to assign you to Will for now.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
And I took away everyone's co-host abilities except for you and me, because it could have been me, but it could have been anybody. So
That's it. I'm wondering if someone accidentally closed the rooms when they tried to join